Congratulations to the Milwaukee Bucks for winning the NBA Finals. But now, the more important part begins, the offseason. And this is where Arturas Karnisovas and Mark Eversley are going to make their money. I'm Ross, this is Arturas Fan Club, and you should be subscribed, because today we are doing a full Bulls offseason preview, breaking down all the key dates, things to look for, and then as we go further into the offseason, we're going to break this down even further topic by topic. So this is just an overview, but if you want to get the good stuff broken down topic by topic, don't miss a video. Hit that subscribe button. Thank you guys. So today, before we get into the offseason, real quick, let's just go over the news of the day. Zach LaVine will be joining Team USA in Tokyo. He has cleared health and safety protocols. He is ready to go for the Olympics. We talked about this on a previous video. I had some doubts. I had some issues with the way that the Olympics are being handled in general, but it is what it is. Zach is obviously a competitor. He wants to be out there with his teammates, and he is going to join them. So it'll be exciting to see how Team USA responds to their kind of lukewarm start in those exhibition games. But Zach was one of their best players, so he's going to be a big part of the success that Team USA has over there in Tokyo. Go Team USA. The other thing, too, that I wanted to mention, the Chicago Bulls launched their own Discord server. I thought that was really cool, and I think you guys should all go check it out. Shout out to their digital content team, their social media team, everybody over there. They do a wonderful job, and they are just killing it. So more ways to engage with the team, more ways to engage with fans on their part. Really cool stuff. So go on their Twitter and join that Discord server, making mine look obsolete. I'm just kidding. But that's all the news that I have for the day. Nothing really crazy going on right now, except, hey, the Milwaukee Bucks, they won their first title in however many years. Giannis had one of the greatest finals performances I've ever seen in my entire life. I'm not a Bucks channel. I'm not a Bucks guy, so I'm not going to recap everything, but awesome series. Really cool for basketball to see two small market teams in the NBA Finals. And shout out to Giannis, man. He is a hooper and a basketball player. The dude is great. He's really cool. He's got a cool attitude. I listen to the press conferences. Just sounds like a really nice guy. It sucks that Packers fans are happy today because Milwaukee has a lot of Packers fans, but it is what it is. Congrats. Enjoy it. The Bulls will be back next season. And in order to be back next season, there are some moves that need to get made this offseason. So we're going to go in chronological order. I'm going to break down the key dates of this offseason. And like I said at the jump, this is an overview, so I'm going to give you guys a brief preview of each of these steps of the offseason. Think of this like 2K. We're going through the steps of the offseason, and I will also be including in the future more well-rounded, in-depth content about each of these. I've actually covered a lot of this already now that I'm looking at it, but as we go through it, I'll shout out which videos you guys should watch, and make sure once again to subscribe so you don't miss anything. So the first big date that's coming up here very soon is the NBA draft on July 29th. That is like, what are we? Today is the 21st. Yeah, today is the 21st. So we're 9 days away, or 8 days away rather. This is coming up on us very soon. The Bulls have the 38th overall pick. Obviously, our first rounder went to the Magic in the Nikola Vucevic trade. Some names to watch with the 38th overall pick. And once again, I have broken down second round draft prospects. I have videos on all this stuff. I'm working on more before the draft, so stay tuned. But the guys that I've already talked about, Quentin Grimes and Josh Primo. Roko Prakshin actually withdrew his name from the NBA draft this season, so he would be on this list, but he is no longer available in the draft. Maybe next season. For now, Quentin Grimes, Josh Primo, and someone who I have not talked about yet is Rokas Jokubaitis. Oh man, Lithuanian people are going to be so mad at me. I am so sorry. I have family from Eastern Europe, but I was born and raised in America. I'm very sorry. Rokas Jokubaitis. That's what I'm going with. Point guard, Lithuania, very young. He is in the draft. There was some speculation he might go play for Barcelona. It seems like he's going to be a draft and stash possibly, but another guy that I will go in depth on very soon. Josh Primo and Quentin Grimes, I have videos on them. You need to go watch those. Quentin Grimes is probably my top pick. I don't know if he'll even make it to 38. And that's why I've also talked about the idea of the Bulls trading to get another second rounder or a late first to potentially get Quentin Grimes, or maybe move up and get like Miles McBride, who is another guy I've made a video about. All these links will be in the description. But maybe you could flip Tomas Satoransky, who we're already talking about potentially cutting and stretching that $5 million remaining that's guaranteed on his contract. Maybe you could get a second for him. Maybe you could get a late first for him. The Clippers have a late first. Maybe you could get their pick. They've been rumored to be interested in a point guard this offseason. Tomas Satoransky could be perfect. See, this is AK fan club, bro. We're thinking like AK. We got to make these moves, man. This is the offseason. This is the way the Bulls could get better. We gotta flip guys. We gotta get draft picks. Like, we don't have a ton of cap space. We're not gonna be out there, dropping the kind of money the Knicks will be dropping in free agency. But if we can acquire additional draft picks, this is a very loaded draft class. There are definitely a lot of guys in the late first and second round that will be contributors at the NBA level, even right away. Quentin Grimes is a guy who I think will come right out of college and be a contributor in the NBA immediately. So there are a lot of opportunities here to get better without spending big. But speaking of spending big, we got to talk about it. August 2nd is when free agency negotiations can begin. It'll start at 5 p.m. Central Time. And this is the period where you can agree to deals, but you can't actually sign anything yet. Remember, this is like the tampering period, I think we call it. So the Bulls will be looking to clear some cap space, like we just talked about. They're going to try to get Al-Farouq Aminu off the books somehow. He's got a little over $10 million guaranteed to him this season. They might waive him and stretch that money over multiple seasons. They might pursue a trade, which we'll talk about in a second. It's same thing with Tomas Satoransky. Same situation, might waive him, stretch that money out, or try to trade him. Thad Young is a guy who technically the Bulls could cut and not have to pay him any guaranteed money. That is a tough one for me because I think we need Thad Young really badly. We're already lacking in front court depth, especially if Daniel Tice ends up walking in free agency. So Thad Young is a guy I'd like to keep on the roster. Now, something that, as a biased Bulls fan and someone who is delusional and crazy, my thought process was, hey, what if we do cut him, but we go back and we say, hey, we need to restructure your money. We're going to stretch it out over multiple seasons so that we can make some moves in free agency this offseason, but you'll still get paid in the long run. Give him some security, make sure he still gets paid, but it's not all happening this offseason. I think it happens. There are teams who do it with guys who want to stick around, guys who are fan favorites, take a little hometown discount. It happens. So I'm just putting it out there as an option. I don't know if it will happen, but it would be really, really cool if Thad Young wanted to take one for the team and be like, yeah, we could do that and clear up some cap space this offseason. So the guys that the Bulls are going to be looking at, this has already been reported. I already made a couple videos on this, but Lonzo Ball, Spencer Dinwiddie, Dennis Schroeder, and Kyle Lowry are the point guards the Bulls are expected to be interested in. And, our need for point guard, well documented. It's not a secret. Arturas Karnisovas has tried to trade for Lonzo Ball at the trade deadline. Nothing came of that. He is still a sign and trade candidate, though it's been reported multiple times through multiple outlets that the Pelicans are more interested in getting Kyle Lowry, who I just mentioned, instead of re-signing Lonzo Ball. They're not interested in matching a large offer sheet for Lonzo. So that's where the opportunity comes into play. If Kyle Lowry does go to the Pelicans, Lonzo Ball is absolutely available. We won't even need to trade any assets to get him. You can give him that offer sheet and hope that he decides to come to the Bulls. If he decides he wants to take an offer sheet from the Knicks, there are a couple other teams in the mix. I don't know, but right now it seems like the Bulls have the best chance at Lonzo Ball. If I'm being my biased Bulls self, yes. Also, from an outsider perspective, the reports all seem to indicate that the Knicks are moving on to, like, they want to trade for Damian Lillard. Like, they're all on some other shit right now. It seems like Lonzo is a reasonable option for the Bulls. Him and Zach LaVine have a relationship. So I'm going to say Lonzo Ball is still plan a big possibility, but there is a plan A1A. We'll get to that. Other free agents that the Bulls could be looking at, we're desperately going to need some front court depth. and maybe a little bit of wing depth as well. Torrey Craig is a name that has been dropped a lot, coming off the the nice finals run with the Suns. I would be very ecstatic if we were able to get him or a guy of a similar stature. As far as front court depth goes, bringing back Daniel Theis is still my number one option in terms of like a backup center or power forward. Daniel Theis was great for us this season. You don't trade for a guy with the idea of letting him walk in free agency. So I think Arturas and Mark Eversley really do want to bring him back, and we really need that rim protection. That is something. If we bring back Daniel Theis and we get Lonzo Ball, like, I'm feeling great about our rotation top to bottom. We got the rim protection, got the perimeter defense, also got the scoring. So I would be really happy if we were able to bring back Theis. If we're not, there are a few guys I was looking at, and we're looking purely for rim protection here. So we're not really looking at guys who are big scorers or anything like that. Nerlens Noel is a name that came up, and I really like that name if we're not able to get Daniel Theis back. And then I was looking at like older guys who probably are way past their prime and might not be very good, but worth looking at. Maybe Robin Lopez, a homecoming, come back to Chicago. He's going to be an unrestricted free agent, worth taking a look at. Enes Kanter is another guy. I don't really know how good he is anymore. These two guys are past their prime, obviously, but depth is the name here, not starters. We're not looking for a starter. We have Nikola Vucevic. Just need a guy to bring in at the end of games to provide a little bit of defense. So those are some names that have been kicked around and I'm okay with taking a look at, but we'll have to see what ends up happening. The teams like the Bulls that are a little bit cap strapped, they have the MLE, which they're able to put some money on the books without it going towards the cap. They're allowed to go over the cap for a guy like Daniel Theis, because they have his bird rights. So there are a few options here. It can be accomplished, but we'll have to see what ends up happening with Daniel Theis's decision in unrestricted free agency. That's the freedom he gets as an unrestricted free agent. So that was August 2nd. The next day, August 3rd, is the official start of the 2021-2022 league year, which means all of those unrestricted free agents that are on the books will officially be off the books. It is the new league year. It is a fresh start. L'chaim. It is the start of something new, and that is when the Bulls can begin making agreement. Well, you can make agreements and negotiations on the 2nd. The moratorium period technically begins on the 3rd, which is when you can agree to trades, you can negotiate deals, you can do all of the fun stuff except make them official. So if you guys remember the DeAndre Jordan's scandal or fiasco from a few years ago, this is the period where like you could technically renege on a deal because you haven't signed anything yet. So you can make an agreement, you can make negotiations, but nothing is officially official until August 6th when that period ends. So that period from the 3rd to the 6th, agreements can be made, but nothing official. But like I said, trades can start to be negotiated, trades can be agreed to, and this is where we get into the trade possibilities for the Bulls, which DeJounte Murray, another guy that we've talked about on this channel before, someone who, if the Bulls aren't able to get Lonzo Ball at this point, they should have a pretty good idea of what's going on with Lonzo Ball. They've had a day or two to negotiate, a day or two to see where his head's at. DeJounte Murray has reportedly been gettable in trade offers, is what the latest rumor was. He's gettable. So, if you strike out on Lonzo, or maybe you get Lonzo and you want to add DeJounte Murray as well and trade Lauri Markkanen, you see, this is the point where Lauri Markkanen's a restricted free agent. The Bulls could execute a sign and trade with him to get a guy like DeJounte Murray. So this is where the weird intricacies come into play, where it's like there are so many different avenues Arturas Karnisovas and Mark Eversley can take to improve the team. So this is a situation right here in this little moratorium period where a lot is going to happen for us. This August 2nd through August 6th is going to be a whirlwind. So Bulls fans, be prepared for this. This is when shit is going to get a little bit real. Well, a lot of bit real. So we could see a Lauri Markkanen sign and trade to another team. Kobe White is a guy who's technically available in trades. I don't see him as an untouchable necessarily. There are a couple of guys, Troy Brown Jr., I would hate to see him get traded, but if you want to get a guy like, I don't know, maybe Miles Turner, provide some defense, he might be gettable in trades. There are a lot of possibilities here. to improve the roster. Like I keep saying, this is why when I see the narratives going out on Twitter that like, oh, the Bulls can't get better this offseason. They don't have the cap space. They don't have the assets. Well, they actually do. If you take a look at what is available, what the possible avenues are. The avenues is the word I like, because there's so many different ways you could go. Like, yeah, they could hold pat this offseason. They could say, you know what, the trade market wasn't there, the free agent market wasn't there, we're gonna roll it back with our guys. They could do that. I don't think so though, because there are ways. There are ways, my friends. This is the NBA. If there is a player that wants to join your team and you want them on your team, it will happen. There are ways. Look at what the Brooklyn Nets did. Okay, look at what the Lakers do all the time, every offseason. Okay, look at what the Clippers did. If there is a player who wants to play on your team, if it is mutual interest on both sides, it will happen somehow. They will find a way. So if Lonzo Ball wants to play for the Bulls and the Bulls want Lonzo Ball, they can find a way to make that happen. Okay, it is a players' league. What players want happens. So if a player wants to come to the Bulls, they will find a way to make it happen. So those are the two guys, DeJounte Murray and Miles Turner, that I was looking at as trade potentials. I don't know if Miles Turner actually will be available, but he's kind of on my wish list. If we were able to get him, that would be really, really, really awesome. And I feel like it would make us a very good team. Damian Lillard is not a realistic trade option, unfortunately. Maybe next offseason, but it seems like this offseason, that dream is a little bit dead. If you guys have any trade possibilities, trade ideas, trade machine screenshots, send them to me on Twitter. I'd love to see them, because I have not gone deep into trades quite yet. We've been focusing on free agency a lot, but it'd be pretty cool to take a look at some of your trade proposals and maybe react to them and tell you what I think. So send me those on Twitter at Arturs Fan Club. You guys know how to find me. So like I said, August 6th is when that moratorium period ends. And then all of those trade negotiations, all of those contract negotiations can be signed. They're official. They go through, and it is really real, really, really real. That's August 6th. And that's when we'll know. August 6th, we'll probably have a pretty good idea of what the 21-22 Chicago Bulls will look like. So August 6th is a date to circle on your calendar. That's going to be a big, big time. Like I said, that whole stretch between the August 2nd and August 6th is going to be a whirlwind and a very important time for the future of our franchise, frankly. It's just the truth. I don't want to be over dramatic, but it is the truth. You know, this could change the course of the next few years of our team, hopefully for the better. In AK we trust. So August 8th, Summer League begins in Las Vegas through August 17th. We need to restore the glory, bring back the Summer League champs, Chicago Bulls. It is time to bring the trophy back home, guys. Representing us will be Patrick Williams, Marko Simonovic, Devon Dotson, I would imagine, whoever that 38th pick ends up being, and then various, undrafted guys who have bounced around the league that AK is unable to unearth. I trust him to find some underrated gems. We didn't get Summer League last year, so we didn't get to see, the kind of things that AK does with finding guys who are, hidden in the rough. Which is really exciting because that's something he's been great at throughout his career. So I'm excited for Summer League. I think that Summer League is going to be an underrated aspect of our offseason. We're going to see Marko Simonovic for the first time over here in America. We can see more Devon Dotson minutes. We were begging for that last season. Patrick Williams just continue to get better. We want to see him take strides. Want to see him take that next step against competition that, should be lesser than him. He is at the point now where he has a full NBA season under his belt. He was a starter. He played against the best players in the league. He was defending them night in, night out. So he should have an advantage coming into Summer League with a bunch of dudes that probably haven't played in the NBA before. 38th pick, same thing. Excited to see who that ends up being and how they play for us. And like I said before, all those diamonds in the rough that AK is able to find will be very exciting to see in Summer League. And then we get to September 28th is when training camp begins. And training camp is a big deal this season. Last season, training camp was shortened. There was all those weird restrictions due to COVID. Billy Donovan had just been hired head coach. It was a whole mess. It was a whirlwind of different things going on at the same time. And it wasn't a true training camp. They didn't get a preseason. We'll get a preseason this year. We'll have training camp this year. Now we have all of the players that were traded for at the trade deadline back. Whoever we end up getting in free agency. This will be a big time for Billy Donovan to really install his systems, form chemistry between teammates, really get to know his guys, how they want to play, and put them in the best positions to succeed. I think that last season it was too much all at once. There was just too much craziness. The Bulls didn't have a lot of talent. And at the same time, a new head coach trying to figure out where guys fit in is tough. It's not easy. So this training camp is going to be a big deal. Another year for Nikola Vucevic. Well, his first full year for Nikola Vucevic under Billy Donovan. Same thing for Troy Brown Jr. Hopefully Daniel Tice, we get him back. Javonte Green, we'll see. But this will be a very important time for Billy Donovan and the roster to really get to know each other and prepare themselves for the full NBA season. So once again, I'm excited because this is a good thing. We're starting to get back to normal. We're starting to see all of the pieces that AK's been working on really start to come together. Admittedly, we've made some excuses. We have, missing the playoffs. Zach had COVID. They only had one practice post trade deadline. They shook up the entire team. We've been making some excuses. I feel like this is the opportunity now to really put up or shut up, right? We're not going to make any excuses anymore. We have the full offseason. We have the training camp. We have the preseason. We're going to hopefully get a bunch of the old Garpax guys off the roster. Ryan Arcidiacono is going to potentially be gone. He's on a player option, or a team option rather. So he will most likely be gone. They'll clear up some cap space there. Denzel Valentine's off the books. Felicio's off the books. There's so many new, fresh opportunities, and we are going to hopefully be done with the Garpax stink of years past. Lauri Markkanen probably be gone. So like I keep saying, this is a great opportunity for us to get better, for us to improve as a roster, and training camp is where some of those things start to take place. The little things that you work on in training camp eventually turn into the big things that you do on the court in game. You need that time in the gym with your teammates to work on schemes, to figure out, okay, if this guy's going over this screen, where should I be? Tendencies between Zach LaVine and Nikola Vucevic. You set this pick, guy goes under, what should I do with the ball? Where are you going to be as the roll man? Where does the ball go if you want to lob? It's all of those little things that take time to work out that you can work out in training camp. It's the kinks, right? And if we do get a new point guard, hopefully, that will be key, because point guard chemistry is so important. Figuring out your spots, like where does Zach LaVine like to shoot the ball? How do I get the ball to him in the right spot so that he's at the right place, in his release? It's little things like that build up into big things. So training camp is when those little things start to take place, and I'm really excited to see how they translate into the season. And then eventually October 19th is when the regular season actually begins. I looked around and I didn't see any information about what the Bulls regular season schedule, or preseason schedule, looks like. Rather, we'll get the regular season schedule later, obviously. A couple teams I feel like released their preseason schedules already, but usually the Bulls play teams in the area like the Pistons and the Pacers. They just keep it pretty close to home, so nothing crazy there. But that is your Bulls offseason preview. We made it. Only 23 minutes. Not bad. We got through a lot of stuff in not a lot of time. But that's why I keep saying we're going to break all of these down even more in depth as we go through the offseason. But now that it is officially the end, well, I guess officially it doesn't end until August 3rd, but officially the end of the NBA playoffs. There are no more games. Womp womp. That's kind of sad. Gonna be missing watching basketball for sure. Those finals were a lot of fun, but basketball is done for the summer. And so we will look forward to August. August is when shit will get real. The draft will be interesting. I don't think the draft will be super exciting. It'll be cool to get a new player, but the real fun stuff will begin on August 2nd. So August 2nd, circle it on your calendars. Get ready for it. You guys know I'll be covering everything, and which is why I remind you to subscribe. Hit that subscribe button, man. Don't miss a video. And make sure to like it too. Your likes help me a lot. Helps me understand what videos you guys like to see, which ones you don't. Tried making another NFL video yesterday. Didn't do so hot. So that's why we're back with some Bulls content today. And I think I covered most of it. I know that there's a lot to cover, so I can't cover all of it. but I tried my best. So feel free to yell at me in the comments if I missed anything. Once again, I remind you, let me know if you guys have any trade proposals you'd like me to look at. Maybe we'll make a video breaking down some of those, reacting to some of those. That could be a lot of fun. So thank you guys again for watching. As always, we will talk very soon.